Hey everybody, welcome to We Run on Reruns. I'm Amanda, and I'm here with my brother Eric.
Hope you guys are all having a great week this week. We are here about to go into Stranger Things Season 2, Episode 3, Chapter 3, The Pollywog. But before we do, just want to send out a thank you to all of you who have been helping us out by sharing and liking and doing all the social media things that you do on our TikTok and YouTube and Instagram's accounts. We couldn't appreciate it more, so thank you so much for doing that. And again, if you could just continue to share each one with one friend you know, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We're still getting, very fresh to the podcasting world, so any support that we can get, any shares, just very much appreciate that. Thank you so much. If Stranger Things isn't your favorite, but you really enjoy Friends, we also have 2 episodes of Friends every week, so we'd love to have you over there as well. So today, as Eric said, we're talking about Stranger Things Season 2, Chapter 3. But just to give a quick recap of what we covered last week, in a flashback, we learn what happened to Eleven after she vanished with the Demogorgon at the end of Season 1. The boys went trick-or-treating and ran into Max. Nancy, Steve, and Jonathan all ended up at the same party where Nancy decided to do some binge drinking to deal with that pain and secrecy around Barb's death. Hopper was continuing to investigate the rotting pumpkin patches. 11, who was left alone in the cabin during trick-or-treating, decided to transport herself back to that black room to try to connect with Mike. And then Dustin, at the very end, found something unexpected in his trash can. And we're going to cut right into where we left Dustin as we kick things off today.
Yeah. And I know we left off last week asking, like, hey, do you remember this thing? And I do remember this thing. What I didn't remember about this thing was these early forms of this thing.
Right.
I didn't remember that part until this episode started. And I was like, oh, right. We have to get there.
Yeah. During that other episode, not the last one, but the one prior, where his trash can initially shook and he thought it was the cat and then he just kind of walked away, I didn't remember that that's what was going on there at that point. But then when he opened and looked in, it was just like, hey there. Like, it's like, oh yeah, what? There is a creature in there, but you're right. I felt the same. Didn't remember exactly how tiny it was and also how quickly it evolved.
Yeah.
But that's where we get the title of this episode, The Pollywog. So we cut right to when Dustin comes home after trick-or-treating. Dustin's mom is kind of asking him, hey, what's wrong with you? Are you constipated or something? You're acting weird. And Dustin is saying he rigged his Ghostbusters trap. What is that thing called? The little...
Yeah.
I don't know. I forgot. I feel like there's a more official term.
Oh, there definitely is. But it's the trap that they slide out to catch the ghosts. That's right. Yeah.
Yes. And he said he rigged it, which is something that Dustin would do. And to like kind of vibrate, I guess. And, then he convinced his mom, okay, that's all it is. And so he runs into his room and drops this thing into his terrarium. So I guess he's probably had lizards or turtles or something before, because it's that type of tank. Hopefully there wasn't something in there, because I think it's probably gone at this point.
We had a turtle in there that he took out, though.
Oh, he took the turtle out. Okay. I missed that. Okay, thank you.
He had a turtle in the tank, and then he told him, "Hey, sorry, it's a temporary eviction," and moved him on. So the turtle is just kind of like free roaming, I guess, at this point.
Apparently he's off to rough it, I guess, in the rest of Dustin's room. And he's kind of like trying to talk to it, what are you, little guy? Are you hungry? I love how he's then feeding it the Three Musketeers bar. I'm like, I don't know, but it seems like it's eating it. So I don't know what type of creature this is, which he doesn't either. He's trying to figure it out. He ends up turning on a light, but it is way too hot. So this thing is extremely sensitive to light. He learns very quickly. I also liked how he had the little ET, and I think it was a Stretch Armstrong figure to the side of the terrarium. But very quickly, this little creature starts like vibrating and screeching. Its mouth kind of turns into this little O, and it's like howling. And it pretty much immediately, what would you say, doubled in size?
Well, that's what I
bigger.
put. Like, it starts pulsing and growing? Question mark. Like, it definitely looked like it was getting larger in the tank. But it started very small, so it's not like that. I mean, it did grow, but not like a substantial amount, I think.
Right.
Yet. I don't know. I would have said it would be like the size of like a thumb drive, you know? Like an old like flash drive.
All right. I
like that sort of length.
That's a standard.
Like the standard size. Like it wasn't that big. But then by the time Dustin is sleeping and it's like pulsing and starting to grow a little bit, it is definitely getting bigger than that. Now, it's wider than a thumb drive. But it is probably that long. But it's starting to get bigger. But he does also name him D'Artagnan.
Yes, D'Artagnan. Thank you. And that was actually, so that is a deep reference into the Three Musketeers.
Yeah.
Not one of the core Three Musketeers, but this is actually from the book, which I thought was cool and very nerdy of Dustin, which I appreciated. But now this thing is staying on your theme of computer-related devices, now I would say it's almost like the size of like a mouse.
It's getting close to a mouse size.
Standard mouse. Yeah. And it's bigger at this point. So then we have the credits. So we cut right to the credits at that point after you see it growing. And then we're with Hopper. We have this flashback to when Hopper heard Eleven getting food from one of those boxes where he was placing the Eggos in the woods. So before he kind of placed the Eggos in there, and before he gets back to his truck, he heard kind of the crunching in the woods because it was snowing outside at this point, and it was icy. So he heard her and he turned around. But then we're in real time with Hopper.
So in that moment, though, do you think that she came around the corner to get the food and he heard her and turned and saw her standing there? Or do you think she like revealed herself on purpose, knowing that it was him? Because I'm kind of torn on how that went down.
Yeah, it also seemed like he was taking his time walking back to his truck a little bit.
He wasn't all that far back, and all of a sudden, she just kind of comes out and stands there, and I feel like she recognized him and said, "You know what? I'm gonna tell him, hey, I'm here."
Absolutely. I mean, it's snowing out. It's freezing outside. She's probably also really struggling to survive at this point. I mean, she just doesn't want to be alone. So I think that's so, like spot on. Yeah. I think she was ready to just
because I wrote it down in two different ways, and I wasn't exactly sure if it was the, him not knowing and like discovering her when she was just too eager to get to the food, but she wasn't. She didn't run to the food. She just kind of like stepped out from behind the tree. And I'm also still trying to figure out how Hopper knows to put food in this box.
Yeah, I know. And I think what you said last week about like he got into that car with those guys and something happened there. There's still
a missing piece to this story. We've fully fledged out almost all of it, but how Hopper knows to go here is still untold.
Yeah, it's a great question. I am not remembering that detail. If any of you listening remember that detail into Stranger Things, I would love to know. So we don't have to wait until we find out, and hopefully it's not one of those details that we just never learn, because those always kind of bug me a little bit with shows where there's like,
it very well may be, because I don't remember ever figuring that out, but I also don't remember, like I'm watching it very differently now. Like I was
Yeah,
not
same.
watching it with such an eye
Right.
earlier that I was like bothered by that. But now that I'm trying to like connect the whole story,
Yeah. I mean,
I
that's a
am like,
pretty
well, how does he know to go here?
yeah,
Like
and
that's
that's a
the only
pretty
piece
big
that I don't know.
question. Yeah, and that would be a pretty big plot hole in my opinion if we never learn that. But that is the type of detail where it's kind of like once you learn it, that could have easily just fallen out of my brain.
It's
So
possible.
so
And
but yeah.
I mean, there's a way that it could be explained away very easily. That being said,
Yeah.
that's what's happened here, and
And
Elle has now kind of exposed herself to Hopper, and
yeah.
now Hopper sees her, and
Yes.
we get the flashback back to reality, back to real time,
Yes, yes.
where he is still trying to lure her out of the bedroom with this ego extravaganza.
Oh my
With
goodness, this
whipped cream
Eggo.
and chocolate and all sorts of stuff all over it. And
It was an
essentially he's
Eggo
like,
cake.
hey, best thing about it is it's only 8,000 calories, which I thought was funny.
Oh
And
my gosh.
but then he looks over and he sees the wire to the television, which is leading into her room, which he saw earlier. And then he says, which is most noteworthy to me, so you visited him again.
Yes.
So he's in the know that
Right.
she can go visit Mike
Yes.
with this like blindfold white noise contraption.
Yes. So I kind of draw that same connection to like last week when we learned that, oh, Will is telling the parents to, well, I just called the parents Joyce and Hopper, but so he's telling the adults that, oh, I'm having these visions into the upside down. Like they're not just keeping it inside. And I guess the same is true for 11, where it's like whether he stumbled upon her doing this or whether she just
Yeah.
told him like, hey, I'm trying to visit Mike. They're not just keeping this a secret, which I think is really great for the storyline too. So it's not just like this, just in case something happens, they have an idea
Right.
of what's going on, right?
Well, and
Yeah.
that's when Ella's saying, listen, he says that he needs me. And Hopper's like, well, do you want me to go check in on him? And she said,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely this whole new wrinkle is now exposed just with this very short conversation of Elle can go and visit all these people, and Hop can then act as the police officer, going and checking and seeing if everybody is okay or what the needs are, while she is providing all the background information by just moving around without actually having to go anywhere.
Right.
And yeah, but
She wants to know, when can I just leave this place, right?
Yes.
Like when can I just reconnect with Mike for real, you know? And she's getting really angry. I
Well,
mean, and this would
because
be
the answer the answer is soon, but she
But what
then
does that
starts
mean?
fact checking
Mhm.
soon. Like, well, you said soon on day 26. I forget the numbers.
That's right.
But you said soon on day 130. You said soon day
Mhm.
245. When is soon? Is it 500, 600, 700, 800?
Mhm.
When is soon? And he's like, I don't know. And then she
Mhm.
yells, friends don't lie. And basically
That's right.
shoves the ego extravaganza onto him
Mhm.
with her mind. And then
Yeah.
walks into her bedroom and shuts the door with her mind. And just storms off, basically. And I can't
Yeah.
blame her. I mean, I
Yeah.
would understand being a little stir crazy if you were in 11's spot.
I mean, and not just for a kid, but for anyone who's essentially being held captive here, right? It's kind of like, what does soon mean? Give me a real
Yeah.
answer. And the truth is that he doesn't know because he's trying to keep her safe, but that's you can't just indefinitely keep her
Well,
here.
the problem
either.
is-
what's the plan?
Like,
right?
and I think his whole hope is, now that he's like connected in with the Department of Energy, his hope is, well, once this all like subsides, then
Calms
you
down.
can just come on out and we can all be
Yeah.
like cool, and they won't even be
Normal.
looking
Yeah.
for you. But
Mhm. That's not happening.
that's not happening, and it's not close to happening. And so soon is not realistic.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, then we cut over to the buyer's house where Bob has been staying over, apparently. And Jonathan kind of confronts Mom, like, oh, so he's sleeping here now, Mom? What the heck? And
Mm.
it's like, oh my God, that is so awkward. And Bob is offering to bring Will to school and calls him big guy and makes this,
You want to go
Will kind of makes,
take a ride in the Bobmobile?
oh, big guy. Yeah. No, I just love that he throws that in. It's like,
Oh,
poor
Bob.
Bob. Bob's trying. Listen, Bob, he's
Bob
putting it
is
out there,
trying,
and
though.
he
Bob.
is, and he, Will kind of is making this face to Joyce and Jonathan, but still being so sweet about it. I mean, Will is the one who he's gonna have more of a chance to connect with, which we,
Well,
see later on.
he's
too.
he's much younger than Jonathan.
Yeah,
Like,
and he's just easygoing.
he's a lot easier. He's much softer and kinder
Yes,
than Jonathan.
yes.
Jonathan doesn't like anybody. Like, let alone this guy.
Well,
Like,
Jonathan has
does,
been around. I mean, he's not trusting of Mom's friends because I think he's just seen more of like.
he's
how
not
things have
trusting of
gone
anybody.
down.
Like,
Yeah.
Jonathan is
That's true.
trusting
Good
of
point.
very few people.
Yeah.
And I would
Yeah.
make the argument that he's not even trusting really of Nancy, who's probably his closest ally at this point.
Yeah. Well, I think that's right because his experiences have, shown him to feel that way. So
That's
unfortunately,
my
he's
phone
just had
going
some,
off in the background. Sorry about
some.
that.
Oh, how dare you?
I know, my bad.
Well, yeah. So I think Jonathan, listen, I think he has a reason why he feels that way. Will is, still is holding on to a bit more of that innocence, despite what Will has now gone through. So I would say he is, gone through enough to make him more cynical, but he is still wanting to trust, right? Like, I think that's just more in his nature. And, but that's all we really get of that scene. Then we have this quick moment where we're with Dustin again, and he's at the library to check out a whole bunch of books, and he wants more than 5 of them. I found that, and I was kind of remembering back, I'm like, yeah, there was a limit to how many books you could check out.
Oh,
it's like they didn't want you to
there's a
check
limit
out, like,
today. There's still a limit today. Like,
there still is
and I say that only because I just took my daughter and son out to the library and got them each
Love
their
that.
own library card because
Nice.
genuinely they wanted it so that they could listen to audiobooks on like an app that they need a
Okay.
library card to connect to. But they also, my daughter more than my son, enjoy going to the library
I love it
just to
too.
like
Yeah.
find stuff. So when they got the cards, they told them that for the first 2 weeks, they could only take out 10 books. And I'm like,
Oh.
okay. But still, it was 10.
Yeah.
And so they have the ability to take out 10 books for the first couple weeks. And then after that, it becomes, I don't even know.
I think that's great. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess they don't want someone coming in with a truckload and like, selling them on Amazon or something.
No, but
I don't
like
know.
libraries are great today. Like they get, this is like where the library by us has now become all the old blockbusters. Like it's got Blu-rays and video games and
right.
like vinyls and stuff like that that you can rent.
Very cool.
And by
Yes.
rent, I mean take for free. So
Yes.
that sort of stuff is very cool to have around. And like that experience that we used to get by going to a video store that the kids in Stranger Things will get by going to video stores and things like that.
Yeah.
That is now at the library for us. I'm not sure how often you've
Go to your
gone to a
public
library
library.
recently.
I have. Yeah. I go to my library. I love like just walking around there and
Sure.
checking out books. But I also will do the audio or just rent them out to read on my tablet too. But I also do just still love like the physical, like holding a book. I love physical media. I love vinyl, like CDs still. Like I will always love that kind of like having that piece of art. I would say,
I have read
on hand.
books. I have read like ebooks where I've flipped the pages on a tablet. That's been fine. I prefer to hold the book.
The hold the book,
And I know my wife would say she's the complete opposite. She doesn't care about the book.
Yep.
She just wants to flip through it. That's fine.
Yeah. Yep.
To each their own. But anyway, Dustin's
reading
trying
is
to
great.
get 5 more books,
That's
and
right.
they won't let it happen because he's already got
Right.
5 out.
Yeah.
So one thing I'm like, well, it's not that hard to bring back your 5. If you think this is the most
I know.
important thing, just go get the
I
other
know.
5 books, Dustin. But instead,
Yeah.
he turns to a life of crime. And he just
Dustin
runs
immediately.
out the door with the books.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And so then we're back with Bob and Will in his car, and this part was interesting to me. So Bob is saying to Will, because he knows that Will has been having these, these bad dreams or flashbacks or, just these nightmares or during the day. And Bob is saying to Will, did I ever tell you about Mr. Baldo? For months, Bob had been having nightmares about this clown at a fair.
Yeah.
And,
Mr.
he fell
Baldo.
asleep, and Mr. Baldo came to me, except this time he's saying, I didn't run. This time I stood my ground and said, go away, go away. Easy peasy, right? And Will's just like, yeah, easy peasy. So, Eric, this made me think of the It movies, because he made reference of living in Maine as well, which is where all of the Stephen King books took place
Yeah.
in Derry. And this is implying that Bob was one of those kids. Like, he was in that It town in Derry. That is how I took that, and
I did not connect that dot, but it definitely could. You could connect that dot if you want to.
Yeah. I like that anyway. I
like the idea that could be
Yeah.
the thing. That being said, I thought this was really great because this was Bob giving genuine advice.
Love this. Yes.
Being a father figure to Will, and Will, it's not bad advice.
Yeah.
It's
right?
really good advice. And it is really good advice.
Yeah.
What Bob doesn't know is that these aren't nightmares.
Right. Yeah. It's like, okay.
So there is a disconnect, but how is Bob going to know that? And
he's
in all
coming
honesty,
from a great place. Yeah.
it's a great concept, but it's just, we're living in a supernatural world here, Bob, where these things are not just going to listen to you because it's not a dream. But it's really good advice, though.
Yeah.
Good,
Love it.
Good try. Good effort.
I love this bonding moment between them, and that Will he's like, listen, he's gonna, all right, he's absorbing that, he is retaining it, and he is gonna try to apply it later on.
Yeah.
So,
yes.
But for now, we're back at the school with Lucas, where he's telling Max about, the experience of having the funeral for Will.
Well, Max is asking why they call him Zombie Boy.
Yes, right.
And then so Lucas is trying to explain it and trying to explain the funeral and that they found the body in the quarry.
Yeah.
And
well,
she's like,
what
but
do you
he was
mean a
only gone
funeral?
for a week?
Right.
Like, why would you have a funeral? And it's like, well, we found a body and we thought it was his, but apparently it wasn't. And but you can ask anybody. This is the story. Like, I'm not just making it up. And she's like, but don't ask Will because he's super sensitive about it.
Oh, and I just kind of chuckled at that line. It's like, oh yeah, he's sensitive about that. Oh, you mean like how you had a funeral for him? No kidding. Like, who wouldn't be? It was just so funny.
And genuinely, of all the people to ask, Will's not the one. He wasn't there.
Well, no kidding, right? He wasn't there at all. That was a big part of the problem. So, and then we go to a class where Will could just sense that Max is like staring at him like really hard, and he kind of turns around and catches her, and she tries to like look away, as one does, at that age where obviously he caught her.
I think one does that at any age.
But it was not subtle at all, is what I mean. And like she was just staring right at him. But then Dustin barges in, and I laughed at this. Dustin is having a pretty funny episode here where he like barges in. He's like, so sorry to Mr. Clark, and he continues to whisper at like pretty much full volume to the whole group. Excuse me, about meeting in the AV club at lunch. He's like, AV club lunch, and he's like, whispering to the guys, and then he turns around and he's whispering loudly to Max as he's telling the teacher, oh, yeah, I'll quiet down, and then just does his own thing. I'm like, oh, Dustin. Dustin just does what he wants. It's pretty funny.
Apparently so.
Yeah. But then we're back with Hopper, where he has a map out. And he's circling all these locations on the map where the pumpkins are rotting out. And what is at the center? But the Department of Energy.
No kidding.
Is right at the middle. Surprise, surprise. And the other cops are kind of calling after him, but at this point he's gone. He's left. So that was really all we had in that moment.
But it was enough to know that, like, they had found all these spots and he's drawn the circles around, and Hopper's now has figured out, okay, Department of Energy is at the center of this all again.
Yeah.
I've got to keep this quiet. Give me this map. I'll see y'all later. Because that's part of the deal.
Yeah.
He can't, like, let the news out, so he's got to keep it quiet.
That's right. And then we have 11 at the cabin, where she's staring pretty hard at the locks on the door. And then we have this flashback to when she first arrived with Hopper.
Yeah. And she at first she puts the blindfold on like she's going to go visit Mike again.
Yes.
And then is like, nah. And then just goes over to the door and is like, maybe it's time. But then we get this really intense flashback, actually.
That's right. Yeah. Where, it's when they first moved into the cabin, and Hopper's explaining this is his grandfather's cabin. So this had been in his family for a long time. And he's like, once we fix this up, it'll be nice. This is your new home. And she's kind of learning that word for the first time and is saying, all right, home. Okay. And he's playing records, and they're getting to work cleaning, installing the locks, getting things set up. They have the ham radio going as well. And he's teaching her Morse code on the radio too. So that's kind of where they learn their signal. And he's also, you see Hopper setting up the tripwires that they have all around the cabin. And he's saying to her, listen, if anyone gets close, it's going to make a really loud noise. And those bad men are not going to find you. This is where Hopper also breaks down the 3 rules that they have. They have rule 1, always keep the curtains down. Rule 2, only open the door for the secret knock. And rule 3, don't ever go outside alone, especially in the daylight. And immediately after that, we're back with Elle in present time, where she proceeds to break all the rules, right? So she is heading out into broad daylight, and
she kept the curtains drawn.
Okay. Yes.
But
all right. Curtains are drawn.
But she is now outside,
Stepping
all
out
by herself,
That's right.
alone. And then she says, not stupid.
Right.
And then she just carries on.
And now we're with Billy and Steve playing basketball at school, and they're getting pretty competitive there. It's clear that they are not, they're not on the same side. I like how they're doing like shirts and skins at school. I'm like, really? Like, was that really a thing in class? I guess in the 80s? I don't know. I feel like that would not be happening today.
And it didn't happen by the time that you and I were in high school.
I don't remember that. Maybe. I don't.
Well, but we were in high school in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Like, we were little in the 80s.
Yeah.
So these kids that were in high school in the early mid 80s, I believe that is a reasonable option, that it could have been a thing.
Yeah, I know for the girls it was always different anyway, but we would have like those just little netted jerseys that you'd throw on over your shirt. So you do like jersey versus shirts. Yeah.
Still do that.
Yeah. And then Nancy is showing up and she wants to talk to Steve. And so he sees Nancy and he hustles off the court, and she's telling him, about the party. I remember dancing and spilling some punch, and we got in a fight, but then you took me home. And he's like, no, that was your other boyfriend, Nancy. And apparently we killed Barb, and apparently everything is bullshit and you don't love me. So tell me then, that you love me. If all of this, if that wasn't true, then tell me right now. And Nancy goes silent. It's like, oh,
Radio silence.
God. So this was your moment to kind of say, that was just a drunken mistake. Like, I don't even remember that. I do love you, Steve, but she did not
and she
do that.
She said that, listen, I was drunk, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, well, then tell me that you love me. And she doesn't.
Yeah.
And that is all you need to hear if you're Steve. It's everything you need. And as it is, Steve, going back just a minute, Steve is already dealing with this thing because Billy is now here.
Yes.
And Billy is just chirping in Steve's ear the whole time about, hey, you used to run the school, then you went soft. I hear you were the king here. And like now basically Billy is establishing himself as the alpha male in the school.
That's
and Steve's dealing with that and also dealing with Nancy. And like, where is he going to go from here?
So that timing with Nancy... Yeah, right. So he's kind of like, listen, if this chick doesn't love me, I'm not going to be like throwing myself out there anymore either. Like he's kind of tired of trying to be vulnerable, I think, in this moment too.
Right.
Yeah. So then we're back with Dustin where he's showing this creature, Dart.
Yes.
We'll call him for short, to his friends. And they're kind of all passing him around. And, Dustin's explaining... He's like a pollywog, but different, and he's going into it much more scientific terms. Dustin is very bright. I mean, he is the one, if anyone were to find this creature, I would say Dustin was probably the best one. But, he's explaining the heat and the sun hurts him. But I might have discovered a new species here, guys, and then we're with Will where he has a flash of throwing up that slug.
Yeah.
Like if we remember at the very end of season 1, he threw up that slug-like creature into his sink. And it went down the drain, right? So he's remembering that as they're looking at Dart. And then we're back with Bob and Nancy.
Well, before we jump into that, do you think the implication here is that the slug that Will threw up is Dart, or is just another version?
Yeah, and you know what, Eric? Part of me is like, what are the odds that like he threw up this creature down his drain and then it ended up in Dustin's trash can? That to me,
that's what I'm saying.
Seems pretty far-fetched. So to me, it's almost like, well, there might be a lot of these out there then, that might have just come back with Will, right? Or like somehow crept in through like those portals, that had been open for a little while. I mean, maybe they could have been attached to any of them, like as a tiny microorganism. I don't know. I think they came through.
I don't think it's necessarily implied that Dart is the one that's ruined all the pumpkins either, but that something is, and that Dart is here, and what Will knows about the slugs. So
that's right.
It's definitely the implication that there could be multiple.
And that thing at the Department of Energy where the gate is still very much active. And that's at the center of where all of these pumpkins are rotting out. So to me, it's almost more implying that there's some type of energy that is like coming out of this area still. And it's killing every type of life as we know it around. And it's starting with, the crops. But we're next. So that's kind of how I'm looking at this at that point. But yeah, so then
so where Joyce's work next with Bob showing up.
Right, I said Bob and Nancy. I don't know why I wrote down Nancy, but it's Bob and Joyce. So we have Bob and Joyce where they're sitting on the bench. And Bob is telling Joyce, he feels like he's connecting with Will, as we were kind of talking about earlier. So, he's admitting Jonathan is a tough cookie to crack here, but
I'd say that.
Yeah, but then Bob says, I noticed that my JVC was a little dinged up. So this is the one that we said was the same as what Marty McFly uses. So he noticed it was a little bit dinged up, and he went back and he watched the tape, and there were some older kids picking on Will on the tape. And Joyce immediately is like, well, I'm going to kick their ass then. Like, who are these kids? And he's like, I always loved that about you. And he wishes that he could be a little bit more like that, I think, like he really admires that Joyce is just like all out there, and she will just like act on her emotions, and she won't hold back. And, he relates more to Will and feels like he was more like him when he was a kid. And but he says then, look at me now, I get to date Joyce Byers. So this again, which I think we had talked about in a past episode, it's clear that I think Bob has always wanted to date Joyce, and now Joyce is finally, I think, putting herself out there for Bob, but he hasn't typically interested her so much in the past because he is very safe and vanilla. And I think like she just hasn't been drawn to that. But now she's like, listen, maybe that's exactly what I need because everything is way too scary right now, So, I like this moment. I also really like the fact that in this scene, a lot of guys might have said, hey, my JVC is dinged up. What the heck? Like, I'm going to punish those kids. Like, they ruined my video, my recorder. And no, it was more the fact that I was worried what happened, and I watched the tape to try to get to the bottom of it. There was nothing from Bob where he was like
upset about the kids for that. He was not worried about the quality of his camera. He just wanted to let Joyce know what he had seen.
Yeah. So then we're with Hopper, where he's showing the map that he had drawn the circles on to Dr. Owens. And the doctor is saying, yeah, it's contained. Don't worry about it, Hopper. Yeah. There's no leak. There's nothing to worry about it, big guy. Like, well, he didn't say big guy here, but yeah, there's nothing to worry about. He's just acting very cool and casual about it. Like, no problem, trying to ease his mind. And Hopper's like, dude, like, you need to test this and see if anything comes up. Like, you need to convince me that everything is fine. And, the doctor, they're kind of going back and forth with, like, who's going to take orders from who. But in the end, Hopper is saying, I've done my part. You need to do yours now. Like, he's demanding that the doctor proves to him that everything is fine. And that he's not going to continue to just sit on this if he doesn't convince him that everything is okay.
Well, this sort of agreement that they've worked out is a two-way street. There is no you take orders from me. Right. And Hopper has said, listen, I keep my mouth shut and you keep your stuff out of my town. That's essentially the deal. And so Hopper's holding up his end of the bargain, but now we've got this stuff going on with all the pumpkins and all the crops, and it is their turn to come out and do some legwork and make sure that it's not. Mm-hmm. And here's the problem. Hopper's not going to believe them no matter what. If they continue to just say, it's not a problem, it's not a problem, it's not a problem. It's like, no, but it is, though, a problem. We see that it's a problem. And if you're just going to try to cover it up, we've already dealt with that group. So this now just becomes a hostile situation.
How much does Dr. Owens know? Like,
that's a great question.
Know the experience that they all had, like, in the Upside Down with Will, and he was actually in there being held by one of these creatures? Like,
I think they have to know that, right? That's implied by the fact that Will is going and talking to him about all these visions and things that they're seeing. Like, it's been implied that between seasons, Dr. Owens has been getting all this information and hearing their stories. Okay. So I would assume that he knows at least their side of it, which is noteworthy, because if you're going to do that and then say, listen, but we've got to contain, there is no problem. Right. Okay, but if we're having a problem around the town that can't be explained with this weird substance all over it, you need to look, because we can't explain it. And it's not something that's ever happened ever before. And now we've got this thing. So maybe you take a look. And so they do. They do.
Yeah. 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 Then we have this scene with Nancy sitting on this car with Jonathan. And Jonathan is saying that she needs to cut herself some slack. He's trying to have her, it's all right. People say things that they don't mean to when they're drunk.
Yeah.
And it's going to be okay, Nancy, and Jonathan, they're relating to how they have this weight on their shoulders ever since they had this experience, and they're really connecting on that a bit more, I think, where it's like, I think Steve, he was there for battling the Demogorgon in that scene, but I don't think he quite understands the same way that Jonathan does with Nancy in that moment. Like, I think they just shared that experience.
Well, they shared that experience for longer.
Yeah.
And they kept it a secret together.
Yeah.
When they didn't know that anybody else was even in the know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and they were there helping plan all the things. They were there with 11 walking through. Steve didn't see any of this.
Right.
Steve walked in at like peak moment and helped save the day, no doubt.
Yeah.
And he's aware of what happened, but he wasn't like in the process.
Yeah.
And that does change your outlook on everything, especially when also both Jonathan and Nancy have siblings who were very involved in this, and Steve does not. Yeah. So it's multiple people in their household.
And Barb being, effectively like sort of like Nancy's sibling, pretty much, so it's and so right, agreed. And Jonathan says he has Will home now, but he's just not the same, and he tries to help him, but maybe things just can't go back to the way that they were,
they
and this
can't.
They
just can't.
And this to me was like a mirror image of the conversation that Hopper and Joyce were having in the last episode, where they were kind of sharing the cigarette and talking about how things really can never go back to the way that they were. And I mean, I think that that's just something that you learn as life goes on, right? And we get older too, and you have these wonderful experiences or really horrifying experiences, but you can never quite return to the way that things were. Like, once things will evolve and change inevitably with time. And so, and as tough as they are, it's like, hey, you can't go back always. So, and he's saying, do you really believe, or no, Nancy is asking Jonathan, do you really believe that the people responsible are dead? And they're kind of questioning that together, I think. And your mom, and then she's asking, your mom's boyfriend works at Radio Shack, right? Do you want to skip fourth period? Because Nancy is not done with this. Like, she's like, there's more work to do here.
Nancy's got a plan.
Yeah.
We don't know what it is, but the wheels are turning, and she wants to be able to do something.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we have this moment where we're with 11, and she's emerging from the woods into someone's backyard. And then you see this mom with her kid pushing them in the swing. And that's really all you have there. She's just observing. So you see, okay, so she's left the cabin. She's now made her way into a residential neighborhood. So she's been walking for a ways. And then you have this flashback where Hop is reading to 11. And 11 so they're in the cabin in this flashback. And she's asking him, do I have a mother? Where is she? And he's being very careful with his words, I would say. He's saying, she's not around anymore. So I guess this isn't technically a lie, right?
It's not technically a lie, but it's also not the truth.
It's like, well, mentally, though, she's really not around. I mean, whether she would communicate with 11.
But But if you're asking
I
is
know.
about my mom,
Yeah.
like, yeah, she's over there. Like, we could bring you over to her, but we're not gonna.
Yeah.
And I understand Hop is very, very obviously protective
Yeah.
of Elle and trying to keep her safe in this cabin. And if he says, "Oh yeah, your mom's like 2 towns over," that's not going to go well.
Yeah,
That's not going to help keep her safe. So this is one of those lies that's not a lie, but it also helps protect you in the time being.
This is kind of reminding me of our Friends recap with Phoebe asking her grandmother where her dad is. And she's like, oh, yeah, I have no idea. Oh, he's on 39 Maple.
Yeah, by the way, here's the address.
Yeah, by the way.
Yeah.
Here's the address. I actually know exactly where he is, and he's not far away.
Right.
Yeah. So, but then we're back in the present day with 11, where this mom, or whoever this lady is pushing the kid on the swing, 11 is asking her where the school is. And this woman is asking her, where's your mom? Because she looks like she's lost. Like, you can tell this girl just came out of the woods, is wandering around asking where a school is. And 11 kind of distracts both of them by flipping the swing on the swing set, like over and over and over the top rung. So it's flipping out. And by the time they look back, 11 is now gone. She's in the wind. So
she's quick.
She pointed her in the direction of the school, and that's where she's headed. So she's quick. Now we're back with Joyce, where she's calling Bob at work because she's struggling with this VHS-C tape. So it's one of those like tiny tapes. I was remembering this. I mean, we never had a big camcorder in our family, but I feel like I remembered seeing other people with this though, where it's like the camcorder had the tiny tape, and then you had to sort of put the tiny tape into like the big adapter, and then that's what you would put into the TV
and eventually
VHS player.
They came out with like these like tape houses that like were the size of a VHS tape that you could put the smaller tape into like the dummy tape and then fit that directly into yours. So that was like the new technology that you could use with VHS. But I empathize with Bob here because he's trying to walk her through how to do this. And as someone who used to work in IT, I do remember having to try and walk people through how to plug things in. Oh, it's just a nightmare.
And then she got the info she needed from
And then she
Bob,
gets the info and immediately hangs up.
Hung up.
And I'm like,
Joyce,
right.
Get yourself together here. That's not cool.
Well, listen, this is the problem with Joyce. Joyce's great fault is that she is so hyper-focused on anything going on with Will that nothing will matter more than that.
I mean, and understandably so, right? It's like,
I understand.
Oh my goodness, right. Yeah.
I don't disagree with the reasoning. I'm just saying that is her character's fault, if there is one, is over attention on Will's situation.
Yeah, for sure. And this with good reason here. So she's finding the tape. She's now looking at the recording where the kids are bullying Will. So this is where, Eric, I was kind of questioning, was that real? Like, did those kids actually? Yes, they were real. The kids with the masks that like pushed him down, definitely real.
I don't understand why we thought that wasn't real.
They were on the
I never understood that thought process.
What I even noticed here, even more than in the scene where it actually happened, where those kids were like way older. Like
they were like high school kids. That's what I said.
Like,
they were much big.
They were like these really big kids. Like, what is wrong with these boys? There's something really wrong with our culture. Where like,
that's
kids,
never happened before. High school kids picking on younger kids. God,
awful.
That's never happened.
No, I know. It's just like terrible. I don't know. It's so bad.
I'm not saying it's nice. I'm just saying it happens, and it has happened in every generation, and it will continue to happen forever.
Something really wrong with that. Anyway,
well,
it's just aggravating. But they're knocking down poor innocent Will, freaking him out, and that's when you see just the camera drop on its side, and Joyce pauses the tape because she is then taking a piece of paper and like furiously outlining the shape.
And you see when the camera falls,
Yes.
you also see Will like just kind of zombie-like taking steps forward.
Right.
And there's all this static on the screen.
Yes.
And listen, credit to Joyce for figuring this out. She's got to be one of the fastest thinkers on the planet.
Right.
Because I would have never put these dots together.
Right. Right. Because especially with like the quality of the picture back then, I mean, to me, I'm looking at that, I'm like, yeah, that could be just about anything. I mean, that could be, if they hadn't had the experience that they had had together, I would have just thought, well, that's just some blurred lines, right? But she is...
Well, and she also has the drawing that Will has made before.
That's right.
That he tried to cover up as something else.
A short story that he was writing is what he had said. So
Correct.
She's now has that in her mind. She's tracing this thing furiously with a crayon across the TV and then carrying it over to Will's drawing. And also I'm like, Joyce, how the heck? Like she just like drew that thing.
Phenomenal
really
artist.
Right? Like with a crayon, it's like the stubby crayon, and she's perfectly.
It looks like she's just gonna rip through the paper because she's coloring so feverishly on the TV screen.
Yes.
And then she brings this paper over, and it's like this flawless document. Like, wow.
Yeah.
That is really impressive. Yeah. All the drawing that you did there.
Well, and it's exactly the same. So she's like, what the heck is going on here? Right. So then you're back at the school with Dustin, where he's about to unveil, I guess.
Yes.
His
unveil.
Dart.
That is the word.
Yes, to Mr. Clark, because he wants to share his discovery, for lack of a better word, because he's
needs
thinking
help.
And he's thinking he's like discovered a new species. And he's saying to Mr. Clark, listen, just to clarify, this is mine, not yours, right? I'm like, oh my God, Dustin. He's so funny.
Hey, that's a fair statement to make. These days,
and as a scientist,
you don't want people stealing your discoveries. Like that's a fair statement.
But before he gets
right as he's about to do this,
that's right.
Well, we actually had a little mini scene right before this that led to this, which was that Will pulled Mike aside in the hallway and was like, hey, let me tell you something. Yeah. And so Will and Mike have had some conversation about Dart. And then Dustin is unveiling this and he's about to show the thing when Mike runs into the room, grabs the trap. He's like, we all gotta go right now. And basically runs with Will and the trap out of the room, leaving Mr. Clark absolutely confused. Yeah. But the four boys and Max just take off down the hall to the AV club. And and that's when we also then get a little cutscene here of Billy outside his car waiting for Max. And he's got some girl there. And he's like, you know what? I'm tired of waiting. Well, she can skate her way home. Yeah. And the girl says something along the lines of, well, you don't want to wait for your sister or something along those lines, to which Billy says, hey, don't call her that. Don't. And she's like, what? Don't call her my sister. So it's a very short scene, but it is it does help lay out the relationship between Billy and Max a little bit, where he is not even committing to her being a relative. Right. And Eric, do you remember, are they like half siblings? Is that what this is? Are they step siblings? Or is he just being an ass? Like, I don't know. No, I don't remember all the details. I don't remember. I'm gonna leave it at that. I don't remember all the fine details of this. Either, and I'm like, I know that they are connected. I don't want to guess and be wrong. Well, and I definitely but I have my own thoughts onto where that is, but I will I'm not going to say what I think it is yet, because I'm not 100% that I'm right. But it's definitely some sort of connection.
Yeah, and there's definitely we learn more about why Billy is the way that he is too. Where
Well,
there's
yeah.
just
There's a lot of
abuse
information
going on at home. Yeah, so
There's this is a very cloaked part of the story right now. This whole idea of Billy and Max and what happened, why are they even here?
Right.
Where are their parents? What is going on?
Right.
And it's all shrouded in mystery.
Yeah, how did they end up in this small town if they were been living in sunny California? What happened here? So then we're back with the boys where they have locked themselves into the AV club room and they
kept
won't
Max out.
They won't let Max in yet. She's outside of the door, just kind of hanging out, just like, oh, all right, guys, talk to them through the door, like, what's going on here? But then we're hearing Will where he heard something just like the screech that Dart made in the Upside Down. And Mike is suggesting that maybe these episodes that Will keeps having, they're not just flashbacks after all. And Dustin is telling the guys,
No, he thinks that he has this thing called True Sight, which is, I believe, a D&D like character trait.
I missed that term. Okay,
so the idea being that he can see into the Upside Down.
Okay.
Without without being there, but he can see actively what's happening. And kind of like go between planes.
Okay, because maybe he's been there. He's more sort of like a part of it now.
He's like acquired a trait that allows him to be able to do that more easily.
Yeah. So they're all saying, well, this thing, it's got to be from the Upside Down, which to me, it's kind of like, duh. Like, yeah, no kidding. Like, you would think they would all like, does Dustin really think that that's a coincidence that this thing just happened to appear right after they've had this experience in the Upside Down? And he's telling the guys,
but Dustin
yeah,
he's blinded by the opportunity of discovery.
I know.
He thinks he's got something. And he thinks that this could be the thing that like sets him on a course for greater success. And he's discovered this thing. And he's like, guys, but it trusts me. And it's like, it trusts you? How is that possible?
Yeah, Lucas always comes in with like the rational questions, like, what do you mean he trusts you? Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, even if he's from the Upside Down, it doesn't mean he's bad, and I promised him, like he's talking about to the creature, that I would take care of him. And, and then this is when they open up the little case. And this thing hops out. Dart is right in front of them. And that little sucker grew legs right in front of them. So this Pollywog is no longer a Pollywog. And it is off the table. And it just, for lack of a better word, darts out the door. And that because Max
darts
at
out
that
the
moment
door because
opens it.
Yeah.
And it's like
Max
just at
picked the lock.
When Max picks this lock, opens the door, there goes Dart. And she's like, what was that? And then they're all just scrambling and racing out of the AV Club room. And Dustin is yelling, don't hurt him, to anyone who finds him. So now this thing is just let loose in the school. Oh, guys.
Yeah. I mean, Mike was about to bash it in with a microphone. But Dustin wouldn't let him. Mm-hmm. And, this whole thing goes sideways. So now they're going to end up having to search the whole school for this thing that is a much larger. I mean, before we were talking about flash drive and mouse. This thing is now like the size of a small dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is big. It's got 4 legs now, and it is moving.
Well, it is not quite as big as a small dog because we learn where Dustin hides him pretty soon. But hold on, so we'll get there.
Well, I stand by that. Like these little tiny dogs is what I'm talking about. Like the ones that people carry around in their purse and stuff.
Okay, all right, but still a little bit smaller than even a Chihuahua. I mean, this thing is still very small. I'm just he puts it under his hat in an upcoming scene, so it's like
this
it goes on his head.
Thick.
It is big. It is the size of a bullfrog. Like, you know those big bullfrogs? That's what it reminded me of. Like the really meaty ones that...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would argue that a Chihuahua is about that size.
Oh my
Some
God.
of them. The ones that you carry around in a purse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. Yeah. So, well, then we have this scene where Jonathan and Nancy are showing up at the Wheelers. And you can tell Mrs. Wheeler was all excited to see Jonathan over at the house. I think she prefers maybe Jonathan over Steve is sort of the implication that I got here. She's kind of like, oh, Jonathan, so great to see you. Like, I just got that sense.
Here's all I saw.
Okay.
Nancy and Jonathan walk in the house and immediately try to go upstairs. And Mrs. Wheeler's like, hey, Jonathan, nice to see you. I'm like, holy crap, she recognized that there's another kid in the house. Oh my God, we finally saw someone else walk in the door.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
No wow, no kidding. That's so funny. Yep. And
I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, then
they're going to study.
That's right. Hard work to do.
It's a very stressful test coming up.
Mm-hmm. Right. And then they're calling Mrs. Holland, so Barb's mom, on the phone. And
before they call though,
we
have Hop and Owens in the pumpkin patch, kind of going through all of the details, and Owens is seeing all of these pumpkins destroyed and getting the idea that, okay, there's something maybe afoot here. But then we go to Nancy.
Yeah, and then we're with they're calling Barb's mom, and Nancy, this is her. I think that in this moment, Eric, they know that people are listening in on these calls, right? Like I
think the idea is, let's find out if people are listening.
Yes. So because as she's calling her, she's saying, I need to tell you something. It's about Barb. You know, we haven't been honest with you. So she's just coming out and telling her, like, I have more information about Barb and I need to meet with you. And it's dangerous. She uses that term. So it's like she's telling them that I can't talk to you about this over the phone. We have to meet. And then you have this flash of people listening in on their call. So you just see the back of people with headphones on, and they are clearly tapping these phones. So they are listening.
And she sets Yes, and she sets a meeting at Forest Hills Park, which is obviously now a public location where they can go. And I don't remember what happens from this. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
This is only my second rewatch of this.
Yeah.
So but I do believe the concept is, well, let's see who shows up.
Yeah, it's been a long time for me. So a lot of these details, it's exciting to rewatch it again because my memory is lacking there as well.
But we're getting older too, so these things get forgotten.
Oh my, so easily. And there's just
so much so that before we started recording this, Amanda was explaining that she couldn't remember which way to turn the clocks today, since it is the day that we changed the clocks that we're recording this.
This is a real problem. I have a big issue with when we have daylight savings, which way it goes. Listen, I've always lived.
I believe the quote you said was, well, I just remember that we fall forward. I'm like, no, you fall back. What is this?
I cannot for the life of me, even with the little fall back, spring forward, like, still, it doesn't help me. I still get it messed up every time.
Clearly not.
It messes every single time. I hate the time change. If we could just do away with it. I've never heard anyone say, yeah, we love moving the clocks. No one likes it. We need to stop.
We could have done an entire podcast on our conversation about whether or not we should do the time change.
No one likes it. It is, and luckily, Eric reminded me of the time change because I also never.
Yeah, otherwise I'd have been sitting here waiting for you forever.
Right.
I don't know. That would have been bad.
Yeah, but so we
anyway.
But we are. Luckily, this is why I have notes, guys, because otherwise I would not be remembering all of this. And we're with the Owens.
So we go back to the pumpkin patch now, and the cops are talking to the mom that saw 11, and they call Hopper, and they're like, hey, we're thinking that Murray might actually be right about this girl, this Russian girl. And he's like, stay right where you are. And then he is out of there like a blaze of glory. And Owens is left with with all these scientists in the pumpkin patch trying to figure it all out. And so that Hop knows she's breaking the rules. She's out.
Gosh.
And he is off to go figure this whole thing out.
Yeah.
But then, and this is, despite my fading memories of things, this is a scene that I do remember. As soon as it started, I was like, oh, yes.
Right.
Where 11 has now made her way to the school.
Same.
The boys are all on their walkies, clearing the different rooms. And you get this, could be a real threatening situation with Mike walking into the gym locker room and he's got a mop and the music gets real creepy and the lights are dim. And then he comes around the corner and it's Max just standing there. It's like, oh, nothing crazy. So then Max comes out and is confronting Mike about not wanting her in the party. And so this is the scene that I remember where she's like, listen, why don't you like me? Why don't you want me to be around? Like, I could be the Zoomer of your party. And he's trying to explain all of their roles. Like, I'm the paladin and Elle was the mage. And like, this is just kind of how everybody fits in.
Yeah.
And she's like, I could be the Zoomer. Look. And she's like, just doing circles around him on her skateboard. And meanwhile, this is when 11 gets to the gym doors and looks through and sees Max circling around Mike over and over and over again.
And she sees Mike smiling too.
Yes, which I wanted to point out because I feel like there is a small disconnect. Because when Mike is talking to Max before we get 11's perspective, he's clearly agitated with her. But then from 11's perspective, we see him smiling.
Yes.
And so 11 knocks Max off the skateboard.
Well, so because initially, I think
jealous.
because Max is pretty charming. Like, she's making a real good argument for herself. She's like, hey, listen, like, I can be part of your group.
And I think she's winning him over.
That's right. And so I don't think that takes very long. So it's like, she's this cute girl also just kind of zipping around on her skateboard. And Mike's like, all right, yeah, like, that's pretty cool. So it only really takes a few seconds for him to he's being disarmed a bit. Like, he's still really was hoping to see Elle at the door. But he's also, I think, trying to chill out a little bit in this moment. And so, of course, that's the one moment that Elle sees, right?
Yes. And when she says, when Max is like, man, it's like I was just, like my board was just pulled by a magnet.
Like a magnet.
He is immediately like, oh my God, it's 11. And runs out the door and is looking. And again, she's nowhere to be found.
Yeah, and you also had this really quick scene too, which I love, where when 11 first gets in the school, she literally walked right down the hallway and Mike was on the other side of the hall and they just crossed paths. And he kept getting this sense, like, is she there? Is she not there? It's like he's gotten that feeling. And I also love this other moment where all the boys are trying to find Dart and Lucas is just like drop kicking his way into one of the classrooms. It just cracked me up so much.
That's true.
He bashed the door down. It was really funny.
Well, and apparently nobody's in the school at all.
I know.
And he karate kicks this door open and there's a teacher on the other side. And he's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that was funny. But
then we get Joyce calling the school and asking about Will because he stayed for AV Club. And they're saying, well, listen, which I thought was a little interesting because Joyce calls and the secretary is like, makes the face like, oh, it's Joyce.
I know. Wow.
And it's like, oh God, this, but it goes in the bucket to show that people don't care what Joyce has to say.
No.
So if Joyce comes out saying all this stuff about the Upside Down, no one's going to listen.
No.
And so it's Joyce. And so because it's Joyce, they're like, oh, well, Mr. Clark just left. And she hangs up the phone again immediately and gets in her car and is off to the races. So now we've got Joyce and Hop in cars driving as fast as they can to a destination.
Yep.
And
then back at the school, Will is hearing the creature from behind the door in one of the bathrooms. So he goes into the bathroom to try to find it. And I think it's looking for like a dark, cold corner, right? Because it's kind of like...
Well, it's clearly...
It wants the darkness.
They were able... Yeah, they were able to say... Dustin was able to say... Unlike when they were talking about what type of amphibian it might be, they want to be able to like heat on a rock in the sun because they're cold-blooded. This guy doesn't like the light. He hides from the light. Yeah. He wants to be in the darkness.
Yeah. So
it's like the light hurts him.
Right.
Because it's from the upside down.
That's right. So it was in the bathroom stall, like in the corner underneath, kind of behind the toilet. And, you know, Will quickly grabs one of the walkie-talkies and he's telling the guys, you know, he's found it. And then it's like growling at him. So he runs out of there. And then suddenly, as he's running out of the bathroom, he's back in the upside down. And this plume is just chasing him again, as it did in the last episode. And then he just keeps running until he is outside of the school. And then meanwhile,
we flip back, to Dustin.
Because meanwhile, Dustin has been the one who has found Dart in that bathroom stall. And this is where he takes Dart and he hides it under his hat and tells the guys he didn't find him. Dustin, you are not being a team player here. Not being a team player at all. And he suggests maybe Will has him. So then we're back in the upside down with Will. And he is then remembering what Bob has said to him about standing his ground. So he decides, you know what, I'm going to do that. And he's just standing there and he's saying, go away to the spider demon. And that's when this like big tornado of ash and smoke is just surrounding him. And it is then like all these tiny like particles and spirals of these bits of the tornado are then going into his eyes, his mouth, his ears, his nose. It's just like surrounding him and it is not stopping. So it is not listening to him saying, go away at all. And then that's just where the episode ends.
Screen black. Just like that. Wow. An episode is over. Yeah. Great spot to end it. Yeah. Like that's a really great cliffhanger ending because he tried to stand his ground and this thing just enveloped him. Yeah. And we move on from there trying to figure out what's going to happen to Will and what's going to happen with this spider demon as we move forward through Stranger Things into episode 4 next week. So now we are going to jump into our IMDb rankings where we talk about what we would have ranked this episode, what you, the fans, have ranked this episode on IMDb, and we're going to talk about our favorite and least favorite characters. So, Amanda, usually, I ask you to pick a side. I'm going to pick a side here. We're going to take a controversial side, I think, to this right out of the gates. So I am going to go with my least favorite character of this first. Okay. And I am going to pick Dustin. And let me tell you what. Dustin he has great moments in this episode. Yeah. And it's a real Dustin episode. Mm-hmm. Okay? However, throughout this Dustin episode, Dustin is the one betraying his friends over and over and over. And as much as he is optimistic about this discovery, and I enjoy many of the scenes that he is a part of, he just is continuing to make bad decisions that I think go against what his character has stood for all through the first season.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, I don't see him being this selfish guy, and I don't think he thinks he's selfish, but at the same time, how are you not listening to Mike and Lucas when we're talking about this thing potentially being from the upside down? you're the one who had to convince Lucas
I know.
that Elle was like the thing we needed. And here everyone is saying, Will is saying, hey, I spit something like this out from the Upside Down. And you're still like, no, it's mine. And I'm like, I didn't like it. It was a bad vibe but I wouldn't be surprised if you turned around and said Dustin was your favorite character because he had so many good scenes.
Well, Eric, I'm actually going to say I agree with you. I had Dustin written down for literally the same reasons. I'm like, this was such a funny episode for him, and he really was like the center of a lot of the episode where he was featured on his own, at the library, and where he found Dart, and it was a great episode for the actor. But as far as just like who was my least favorite because of just not working as a team and just kind of going off on his own. I mean, listen, I think part of that is to really highlight how much Dustin values science and that his scientific discovery was really trumping everything else, which I think can happen, for a lot of scientists, that is really what takes precedence. That being said, he was also my least favorite character because I was just like, you're about to share it with the teacher, but then you're not immediately convinced it was even from the Upside Down, and then wasn't working as a group. I don't know.
Or that you're making the claim that just because it was from the Upside Down doesn't mean it was bad.
Right.
Have you found anything good from the Upside Down yet, Dustin?
Right. And more than anything, just share that you found it. Like, you guys need to stick together on this.
That's a real bad moment at the end.
He even said, like, remember what happens when we don't work as a team before. So, and now he's just acting totally in contradiction to that. So not a fan of Dustin here. And now also, but I will go into my favorite character though, who I have not always been a huge fan of, but here I picked Bob. Because I really liked that he had that moment with Will in the car where he seemed to really connect with him and really cared for him and Joyce. I just feel like he really wants to be part of the family and is being genuinely loving and really trying to open up his world for them. And, even when Joyce was pretty harsh on the phone by hanging up on him, I feel like he probably isn't even really looking for that much reciprocation. I think Bob is just happy to be a part of their family, to be honest. And I just think he's a really sweet guy. Feel a little bit bad for Bob here. So I just felt like he was doing his best. He was trying to give Will a good advice. Whether it is going to result in something positive, we will find out. But I picked Bob. Who was your favorite here?
So mine was not Bob. I did have Bob on a fairly short list. I will say, before I tell you my favorite, that I feel like this episode, there was a lot of heavy lifting done by the boys and Max and Eleven. So like Joyce, Hopper, Jonathan, Nancy, Steve, like there's just minimal scenes for them. Yeah. So I just kind of crossed all of them off as favorite or least favorite.
Fair.
I picked Max.
Okay.
I really love the scene with Max on the skateboard trying to convince Mike.
Me too.
I like the fact that Max is obviously part of the group.
Yeah.
Dustin is including her. She's trying to figure out the situation with Will, even though she's in on seeing Dart for the first time, but then they lock her out, so she's still on the outside, but she wants to like lock pick her way in.
Yeah.
And she's there helping, trying to find Dart. Like, this was a real good opportunity where in the past we've seen her kind of be standoffish from the boys.
Yes.
To see her opening up and actively attempting to get Mike on board.
Yeah.
I think I really liked watching her do that. And I know I will have Max probably as a favorite character in many episodes down the line.
Yeah.
But this was one of the first ones where I feel like that is justified.
Yeah. Yeah. Very
now,
cool.
We go to the ratings.
Mm-hmm.
I have given, I'm going to go back. I gave episode 1 an 8.4, and I gave last week's episode a 7.9. It was my least favorite. I think this is my favorite episode of the season to date through the first 3. And so I'm going to give it an 8.5 since I gave the first one an 8.4. And that's where I'm at. Now, IMDb, we've seen an 8.1 and an 8.2. You've been much closer than I have because you've gone 8.2 and 8.3.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about this one?
I'm giving this one an 8.4. I feel like they are like each like kind of progressively getting better.
Getting slightly better each time.
Yeah, because it's just making, which kind of makes sense. I feel like although the first season, I mean that first episode out was just amazing. But I feel like this is kind of true for a lot of seasons where, you get that initial drop of the episode and then they kind of like build from there. So yeah, I'm going with 8.4. So what do the people say?
The people agree with us largely.
Oh, okay.
They gave it an 8.5, which is what I gave it, and you gave it 8.4. I mean, we're all spot on with this one because
each time with IMDb too.
Each time, yes.
Yeah.
IMDb has 8.1 and then an 8.2 and now an 8.5.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
You went 8.2, 8.3, now 8.4.
Oh, okay.
I came backwards on the second one. I didn't like the second one as much as the first one.
Right.
But now we're all kind of in this mid-8s level. And I do think Stranger Things, after looking at the season 1 ratings and the season 2 ratings, the first 2 episodes kind of are just setting stuff up. There's not a lot going on. Outside of the first episode, the first season, really there was a lot going on in that first pilot. But
it was a great pilot.
But then, like, it seems though, by the time we get to episode 3, the story is starting to fill itself out. And as we look at this one, Ella's now out on the loose. Hopper's now trying to chase her down. Joyce is on her way to the school. We don't know what's up with Will. Maybe he's sucked back into the Upside Down. Maybe not. The boys and Max are all like trying to figure out what's going on. And they've got this thing. And we're starting to get that moment where all these different pieces of the story. Oh, and not to mention that Jonathan and Nancy have, in my opinion, set up a trap here to see what the Department of Energy will or will not do.
Yeah.
All of this is in motion to determine where we're going. And at some point, all the dots will connect.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Good stuff. I mean, so I just looked up really quick to see if like what the people were saying. I found this little note on IMDb too about that conversation between Bob and Will. And apparently, there's also a piece of trivia here that's saying Bob gives Will a pep talk and telling him about a scary clown, Baldo, who offered him a balloon at a fair and would scare him every night when he was a kid. This is a reference to Stephen King's novel and movie It, adapted into It also in 2017. And with Pennywise the clown. Also, he mentions he grew up in the city in Maine where the story It took place, indicating that he had an encounter with Pennywise. And there's also a new show out there called It Welcome to Derry. And so they're trying to like bring back all this stuff. I feel like in Stranger Things, I just love that it like pulls these different bits of like classic horror into the show. I just think it's super clever. And I don't know if we really get much other detail from Bob about that, but I would love it if they like continued to weave that into the storyline.
So I don't know, and this is why I said to me that reference I didn't notice that. I never connected that dot. I don't know the It storyline that well. So I would never have been able to make that connection. But for those who do, there it is. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Well, thank you so much for listening to the We Run on Reruns podcast. Please check us out on Instagram and TikTok and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't seen those already. Also, if you could check out our website at werunonreruns.com, we would greatly appreciate it. For Amanda, this is Eric. Enjoy watching episode 4 of season 2 this week. Happy rerunning, everybody.
Bye, guys.